No One Left Behind is more than a standard we all live up to. It is a way of life. It is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838 255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. Hello, hello. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025 and the first episode of the year for the Run for the Wall podcast. I'm
That's
Hitch.
right.
I'm Hitch, and as always, I'm joined with Boots.
Hey, everybody. Is it May yet?
That's right. And this episode, we have special guest Alan Xbox Steiner. Thanks for joining us
Hello,
this
everybody.
episode. All right, if this is your first time joining us for the Run for the Wall podcast, we just want you, we want to say welcome home, okay? But
Yeah, welcome home.
Run for the Wall is the oldest and largest cross-country motorcycle run in support of veterans, prisoners of war, and those servicemen and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice with their service. And the goal of the podcast is to continue to raise awareness for our mission, as well as bring a sense of community and education on how each and every one of us can show our support.
Yes.
So with that being said, Happy New Year, y'all. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Can't believe it's 2025 already, and May is just around the corner.
I know
it's January.
It
but
feels more real now that it's 2025.
I know, it really
4
does.
months.
I know. I can't wait. I'd go today if I could.
No, it's too cold outside. It's too cold. I needed to warm up a little bit for Central Route, just a little bit.
Well, I'm out in my garage, my man cave here, and I got my heater going right next to me because it is a little chilly outside.
You know what?
So.
I think it's a little chilly right now for those diehard Southern routers too. Right now, I have a friend in Alabama. She told me it's 30 degrees there today.
Yikes!
Yeah,
woo!
And
that's cold.
Yeah, she's in Gulf Shores, so she's right there at the beach, and it's not looking good. But no, so what do we have today for sponsors?
Well, as always, I want to give a shout out to Fuller Law. Chad, thank you so much for, all the support you give to Run for the Wall. For those of you who don't know, FullerLawForRiders.com. Chad Fuller gives us all kinds of pro bono support. Believe it or not, we need it. That guy is on the ball. He's always got the answers. So if you or somebody you know has been involved in a motorcycle accident and you need legal advice, please go call 1-855-FULLER-LAW, FULLERLAW, or go to FullerLawForRiders.com. Also, we want to give a big shout out to the Greater Ontario Convention and Visitors Bureau for their incredible hospitality every year and accommodating us in the opening ceremonies for Run for the Wall in Ontario, California. We could not do it without them. And then additionally, if you've been on Run for the Wall, and if you're an FNG, welcome home, and you will find out that we have hydration trailers that follow all 4 of the routes. Mm-hmm. And when you stop for a gas stop or lunch stop or whatever, a break in the middle of the day, that hydration trailer is already there, stocked full of Pepsi, Coke, waters, electrolyte drinks, energy drinks, snacks, nuts, chips, all kinds of stuff. That's all donated. And 2 of the big donors are PepsiCo and Coca-Cola. So thank you to Pepsi and Coke. I know you guys are competitors, but you both are supporting our mission, and we thank you both for it. So have a Coke or have a Pepsi today, and remember that they are supporting our mission, and there is no possible way we could pull this off without the generosity of so many supporters.
Absolutely. All right. So for news and events, of course, registration is open. Registration is open, and we are getting closer and closer to that kickstands up time. So for what's the
And sorry, I had to interrupt you there, Hitch,
hmm?
because registration is still at early bird rates, but only till
Ah,
the end of January.
okay.
February 1st, the rates go up. So if you're on the fence, you're thinking about registering, it's not that much. Register today. Uh, and make sure that you're in and you get in at those early bird rates because it's going to go up February 1st, and then it's going to go up again, I think, April 1st. But
Okay.
now's the time to register. Also, it really helps with our planning. So there you go.
That's right. For all those supporters that you just named, it helps them know how much support to provide.
Yep.
All right. So that kickstands up. A date for Midway is going to be May 13th. For Central and Southern routes, May 14th, and Sandbox route, May 25th.
That's right. And just for those of you who are counting, that's 125 days, 18 hours, and 21 minutes from this moment that we're recording.
Yes, and today is actually the first day that we are recording and should be uploading the podcast on the
On
same
the same day.
day. So yes,
Yeah.
today is what, January 8th. Today's the 8th, right? I like I'm
Yeah.
retired or something.
It
Yes,
is. It
it's
is.
the 8th. So yes, you all will have this uploaded shortly after we finish recording. All right, so volunteer sign up. So we still need that support. So go to the prospective route that you would like to sign up for and see where your talents can be used. I guess that's a good way to put it. See where your talents can be used. And it's
Hey,
under
can I add something in here?
that's under the contacts tab. When you go to the routes, go to the route and click on contacts, and that's where the list is. That'll show you like what openings are still there for each route. What's that, Boots?
Okay, so I just wanted to add in there because I'm getting a lot of emails. Like when you fill out the contact form on the website, for those of you listening,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who gets that, and I'm usually the one who answers. Not always, but usually. Sometimes I'll forward it off if it's appropriate. But I'm getting a lot of questions from FNGs who want to volunteer and sign up and find out what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, if you're an FNG and you want to ride in the missing man formation, that can be done. Possibly. You can be considered for that. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but the way to make that happen isn't using the volunteer form. It's by when you show up in Ontario or wherever you join the run, let your platoon leader or your assistant platoon leader know that
Mm-hmm.
your desire to ride the missing man formation, and they will forward your name over to the missing man coordinator for consideration. It's not a guarantee. It's a great honor. I can tell you, my FNG year, I rode the missing man formation, and it was one of the most memorable 90 minutes of motorcycling of my life. It's an incredible honor, and highly recommend it. Also, if you want to carry a bio to the wall, that happens every single morning on all of the routes. The route coordinator will read bios of soldiers, of fallen soldiers. After the bio is read, they'll ask for a volunteer to carry that bio to the wall. That's the time to step up and volunteer to carry one of those bios. And other things that happen on the route, like there are all kinds of positions and things that need to be done during the run itself. If you're an FNG or if you're an experienced rider and you want to volunteer for something during the run, let your platoon leader, platoon coordinator, assistant route coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
or anyone in leadership, that's anyone wearing a hat, a run for the wall hat, let them know. They're colored, by the way. You'll find that out, FNGs. But let them know your desire to help out, and we'll find something for you to do for sure.
For sure. All right, for those of you who are already registered, I know you're ready to start making your hotel reservations. And you're like, okay, you people said on the 1st of January, and then you told us not the 1st of January. So that list will be coming out on the 10th of this month, prospectively at 8 a.m. Eastern time is
Oh, eight
what
hundred Eastern.
was posted. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'm the one who makes that happen. So I can tell you this: that's going to be 6 a.m. my time, but I will make it happen on the 10th. I think the lists are ready to go, but we said the 10th, so we're going to make it the 10th. There you go.
that's gonna go over well. You're gonna get more emails today, like, "Hey, can you send it to me 2 days early?"
It's not my decision. It's the decision of the entire board. So
Oh man. All right. And the route itinerary booklets still being finalized, but those should be out in March. And you still have access to the archived itineraries on the route pages.
yeah.
Okay. And then same with prepaid fuel. That information will be given in March as well.
Yeah, and just again, I get a lot of questions on prepaid fuel stickers. So each route is different because donations vary by route,
Mm-hmm.
and also the fuel stops and so many details. It all varies by route. Some routes may or may not offer prepaid fuel online. Most likely, it will happen in Ontario or wherever you check in. Um, at the registration check-in table, let them know you're interested in prepaid fuel, and they will make sure that you get sold a prepaid fuel sticker. I got to tell you from personal experience, it is the way to go, because then, as you know, most of the fuel stops are paid by donations. But for those that aren't, the riders have to pay a share. And so the prepaid fuel just takes care of that. You breeze through. You never have to dig into your jacket and pull out cash because it's prepaid. And fueling is a fast and furious process. And you're going to be road weary. You're going to be ready to hit the bathroom, get some snacks, get some hydration from the hydration trailer. You're going to have gloves on. It's just getting that prepaid fuel sticker is the way to go. Trust me on that.
All right. So I know it's not May yet, but if you just can't wait to meet up with your Run for the Wall family, we do have local meetups. Boots, where do we have the next meetups?
Well, I'm going to direct our users again to the forum.
Okay.
That's really the clearinghouse for all the latest information on Run for the Wall,
Mhm.
besides general news and updates, because we know we mostly post general news and updates. But for localized meetups like in Arizona, Colorado, Northern California, the Washington, D.C. area, all of that information is posted on the forum, and that's at forum.rftw.us. Or if you just go to the Run for the Wall website and under the Connect menu, choose forum, that'll take you right there, and you can find out all the information about where the next local meetup is in your area and who to contact for more information on it. So check that out. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to the next Arizona meetup. Hopefully Alan's going to be there too. I don't know. Last one was at Alan's house, which was awesome. Thank you, Alan, for that. Great hamburgers, by the way. Check that out, everyone. That's a great thing to do because you get to stay in touch with your Run for the Wall family, learn about who's doing what on the run,
Mhm.
and if you're an FNG, find one in your area and meet people before the run because you're all part of the Run for the Wall family, and it's just another way for us to continue the mission.
And in case you have not gotten the memo yet or seen the YouTube videos that Pretty Boy has posted, the communications will be changing this year, 2025. We'll no longer be using the old
CB,
radios. Yeah. Now we're going
we're
to
going
the
to
GMRS.
exactly.
Yeah.
So all the information is on the forum. There's how-to videos, there's discussions, there's step-by-step instructions, how to pair your GMRS Pro radio to your Sena headset, for instance. Yeah, Jerry Wilkins and I were exchanging some thoughts on that. And you can read the thread. And as we use these things, and you can see my post on the forum, last year I was pairing my GMRS radio to my headset one way, and then this year I realized there's a way better way to do it, and you can read all about that with step-by-step instructions on the forum.
Boots, is the discount still available? I know at one point there was a discount.
As far as I know, it's still available. And again, if you want to buy a GMRS, a B-Tech Pro GMRS radio, that discount is all the codes and everything, and the links are on the forum. So check that out.
Okay.
I have one more thing on news and updates.
Yes.
So, as everyone knows, Run for the Wall could not exist without the support of our donors and the fundraisers that we do throughout the year.
Mhm.
So currently, we have a Seize Candy fundraiser going on. So if you have a Valentine or a
Yes.
grandson or granddaughter, someone special in your life, or just someone you want to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, now's the time to order some Seize candies. And if you just go to the Run for the Wall website, the homepage, a pop-up will come up.
Mhm.
It says click here to order and support RFTW. That will take you to the shop where you can order Seize candies, and a portion of that order will be donated back to the Run for the Wall so we can use it to put on the 2025 Run for the Wall. So check it out. It's the Seize Candy fundraiser, also called the Yum Raiser.
Mhm.
Yeah, do that, everyone. We need it. Our goal is to raise $500 through this campaign.
All right, y'all. $500. We can do it. We can.
We
I
can do it.
almost got sidetracked right before the podcast, and because the pop up, and I was like, "Ooh!" So I'm going through the site, like, "Oh yeah, I'll order this," and I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be doing something right now. I'm supposed to be prepping for the podcast. Let me just sit this to the side." So the website is still up, and I'm going to place my order after we finish recording. So
Cool.
that was an awesome update. Yeah. So head to the website for that. Okay. So
And if
go ahead.
anyone out there wants to know, my favorite Seize candy is peanut brittle. I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
That's shameless. I know.
That's
Sorry.
such a shameless plug.
I'm sorry.
All right, so this is the portion of the podcast where we move into the why we ride. And so during this segment, Boots will generally read a bio of someone. And who do you have this episode?
All right. So normally I do share my screen and I have a picture of the individual that we're honoring today in the Why We Ride segment. Unfortunately, there's no real great picture of this individual. So I'm just going to read the bio. And I do want to state before I read this that one of the reasons that I love this bio today that we're reading is that this fallen soldier, this hero, his incident was non-combat related that caused his death. I don't know what the incident is that's classified, but it just brings us back to reality here that our men and women who go out and are deployed around the world to protect our freedoms, even though they may not be in a combat situation, their lives are in danger 24/7. And we can never forget that. That's why we wear red on Fridays, to remember everyone deployed and remember that these men and women are in grave danger at all times, and that anything can happen and take the life of a loved one. So with that, today we remember Army Staff Sergeant Randy S. Agno. He died May 8th, 2009, serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Staff Sergeant Randy S. Agno was 29 years old, and he died from wounds received on April 27, 2009, at a forward operating base, Olson, in Samarra, Iraq, in a non-combat related incident. Agno was assigned to the 325th Brigade Support Battalion, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division at Schofield Barracks. Agno was a 1997 graduate of Pearl City High School. He joined the Army in 1998 and was assigned to Hawaii in 2001. He was a food service specialist. In 2006, Agno was named Junior Army Chef of the Year of the Army's 31st Annual Culinary Arts Competition. Agno earned numerous awards during his career, including the Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Meritorious Unit Commendation, Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal with Arrowhead, and the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. This guy was a hero. It is not the worst thing to die in war. It is not the worst thing to be missing in war. The worst thing is to be forgotten in war. Say their names, tell their stories, never forget. Army Staff Sergeant Randy S. Agno, on behalf of a grateful nation, we thank you for your service.
Thank you, Boots. All right. Yeah, never gets easier.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
All right, so now we are going into our customs and traditions. And these are things that at Run for the Wall, over the years, we do these things, we say these things, and they become a part of us and a part of who we are. And everyone may not necessarily know or remember why we're doing them. And we wanted to take this opportunity to refresh memories and educate. So this week we are discussing Welcome Home.
Welcome home. So when you're on Run for the Wall and you show up in Ontario to sign in, or even when you just show up in the parking lot, you will be greeted with welcome home over and over again and all the way across the country, especially when we arrive in Washington, D.C., when we get to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, when we get to the Lincoln Memorial, when we visit Arlington, the Tomb of the Unknowns. You will hear a lot of people exchanging welcome homes with hugs and handshakes and slaps on the back. The reason we do that the tradition is back. The reason why Run for the Wall was started in 1989 is that our Vietnam veterans never got the welcome home that they deserved. They were spit on, spat on. They were criticized in every possible way. And so Run for the Wall was started as a parade across the United States, not only to bring about an awareness of POWs and MIAs, but also as that welcome home parade, that proverbial ticker tape parade that our veterans deserved that they did not get. And so every single year when we put on our motorcycle gear and we saddle up on our motorcycles and we pull out of Ontario in parade formation and ride every single mile of that journey from Ontario, California, through all of the states we go through, in those small towns, the large cities, and to that absolute point of mission complete at the apex of the wall, where we are welcoming home our veterans, not only from Vietnam, but from every war and every conflict and every deployment. That's why we say welcome home. And it's sacred. It's an honor to be welcomed home, and it's an honor to welcome home. So when you show up at Run for the Wall, tell the guy next to you, welcome home. Even if you don't know him or her, just lean over and say, welcome home. They'll know what it's about.
And I'm really happy that we chose that for today, because it actually ties into something that was mentioned in our listener letter. So, and that's a coincidence too, that we chose that as customs and traditions and that it's mentioned in the listener letter. So I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So it is time to, I guess, more formally introduce our guest today and prepare ourselves to hear about his Run for the Wall experience. So, Alan, you want to tell us who you are? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Sure, I'd be happy to do so. So I am not a veteran. I'm a patriot, much like Ted is, and I am really excited and always grateful to be part of this organization, which has just been phenomenal. It was introduced to it quite a while ago, back in 2012, and I by trade I'm more of an on the engineering side. So I've been with was with Microsoft for 25 years and did a lot in the tech industry and rode motorcycles started writing again back in 2003. Actually, my brother came to me and said, "Hey, I was thinking of maybe getting back on motorcycles because we used to ride them as kids."
Mhm.
And that's when Harley came out with their anniversary bikes. And we each got a 2003 800 anniversary bike for Harley Davidson, and been riding since. So it's a great ride.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned that it's been a while since you were introduced to Run for the Wall back in 2012, you said? So
Yeah.
how exactly
hmm
were you introduced to Run for the Wall?
So I was attending a hog meeting, Harley Owners Group meeting in Washington State, and Mike Speedo Taylor was giving a presentation about Run for the Wall. And the way he delivered that presentation, it was very powerful. He was very moving about what Run for the Wall meant for veterans, for people that were doing Run for the Wall. How it went from across the country at the time, and
Mhm.
in support of our veterans and those that for those that we can't ride for. And he's a good friend of mine, and I've done many trips across the country in various hog events, but never something like this. And so
Okay.
I thought it would be a great opportunity to learn more about a part of our country and the veterans that help protect our country, and just get more involved with that. And so that's how I got involved with it.
Okay. So who do you ride for? Or why
Well,
do
I
you
don't
ride?
have
Why do you
anybody in
ride?
specific.
Mhm.
Yeah. I basically ride as someone who is in support of our veterans
Okay.
and what they do for this country. I don't think that this country does enough to support our veterans, especially some of those veterans that come back with bad things that have happened and are going through demons on their own. I think it's important that they see the support that this country can and should be offering them. I think it's also important that we do not forget about those that are still missing.
Mhm.
That have we need to make sure that we continue to call for accounting for all of those that are still not brought home. And I think that's it's super important. And so that's why I ride, is really to help promote the messaging of about what Run for the Wall does and is, and to help and support our veterans in any way that I can, in any capacity I can.
That's awesome. Now, I know you said that your brother back in, was it '03, said that he wanted to
Mhm.
get back into writing and, you were like, "Okay, let's do this." You got your bikes. Does he do Run for the Wall as well?
He does not. No, his passion has been with Harley Davidsons, but he
Okay.
is limited in the amount of writing that he has done.
Okay.
But I thank him for getting me introduced back into writing again, because it has opened up a whole new world for me, especially being able to see parts of the country I've never seen, and then bringing me into this event here.
For sure. Now, since 2012, how many times have you done the run? Have you been back every year?
I have not, mostly because my job at the time I just couldn't get away
Mm,
from it at all. And then when COVID came, that was an interesting time, because I think a lot of companies were forced to introduce and allow their employees to work remotely from home.
mhm.
And I was very fortunate at Microsoft that they embraced that wholly. And so I rejoined Run for the Wall again in 2022,
Okay.
and have been writing since.
Okay.
And I retired from Microsoft in 2023. So now I have much more time to devote to this organization and the writing.
What routes have you done?
Central all the way, the mother route.
Yep. So, Alan, I
Yep.
know that you're a road guard. Um, But what other positions? Why don't you tell our listeners what are the other positions you've held on the run besides road guard?
Absolutely. So when I came back in 2022, I was the assistant platoon, or I'm sorry, tail gunner for Platoon 2, which was Mike Taylor's platoon at the time in 2022. And then in 2023, Paul Marshall rode Nate Brush, who was the route coordinator for 2023, asked me to be the photographer for that route. So I do photography is just for fun as a hobby, and I thought, wow, what a great way to do more by capturing the moments of people in this run, and just kind of be able to put together pictures and experiences in a way that people can always go back to and remember the run for the wall. And it allowed me to meet so many more people, just being able to be out there and talk to people and say, hey, can I just get a picture of you? Or I'd like to take a picture of your platoon or that. And they say, it just was a way for me to get to meet more and more people and to bring the experiences and capture those moments for Run for the Wall.
Yeah. So, how'd you like being the photographer?
It was great. I loved it. It's kind of it's an open book. You pretty much are on the run doing your thing. The main thing is to make sure that you are capturing those moments, and those moments can happen anywhere, at any time, and at any place. So it's a very enjoyable experience. One of the things about being a photographer is you kind of can mingle yourself in and out of the pack safely, but to make sure you capture people as they're riding the pack, but also be able to get out ahead of the pack and be at those overpasses when they come by, or standing by the road there as they're riding by to be able to capture those moments. And it's really fun. It's really great.
I have. I'm so involved in so many things on Run for the Wall, and I'm like scattered everywhere. But do we have a new photographer for the Central Route for this year?
No,
That's a really good question.
we do not. Well,
You
it's not
know,
posted.
We do
I
not.
checked prior to this. But see, I
Okay.
wasn't going to twist his arm. I was going to wait until the last question on like what his plans were, and then like drilling in right there.
Well,
yeah,
we should also put a call out. If you're coming on Run for the Wall, or
Mhm.
you're thinking about coming on Run for the Wall, and you have some photographic experience, we are looking for a photographer.
Mhm.
And Dan Eckstein, if you're listening, you would be welcome back with open arms. Just saying.
Mhm.
yeah. So I did photography for 23 and 24, and I had to kind of step aside from that because of my role as merchandise director for Run for the Wall. And as you know, when we're on the run, the merchandise trailer is are moved across the country,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of work involved
It's a
in
huge job.
getting that set up, as well as keeping them operational for the 10 days. Well, actually, if you include sandbox, there's another 3 days on that. And so I found myself, and then as a photographer, every night when you get in at night, you're backing up photos, you're checking photos to make sure that things came out okay, you're checking your gear out, you're charging all your batteries. And I was getting to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. So it was just becoming too much for me to be able to support the role of doing both the photography, which I really love doing, but also being able to support the merchandise teams across the country for those
Mhm.
days. And so I did need to kind of bow out of that role, and I was very fortunate to be able to become part of the Road Guard team, and super excited about that. And Ted was my mentor, and awesome job at that. And so this my 2024 year will be my Road Guard year,
Right
or
on.
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something there, Alan, and I just want to touch on this for a minute because it's super important that for most of the pack riders, when you're done riding for the day, you
Mhm.
know, and you're done socializing, you've gone and had dinner that's provided, by donations and volunteer groups, and you go back to your hotel and you check in, you turn on the TV, or maybe you take a shower, I don't know. You lay down and your day is done. But for someone like Alan, our sit rep writers,
Mhm.
the merchandise people, almost anyone in leadership, when we're done writing for the day and we have dinner, it is like you have another hour or so, maybe more of work. I know sit rep writers like Mama G, hey, how you doing? She's up till midnight,
Mhm.
writing these situation reports and posting them on the website so that people back home who are following Run for the Wall can know what's going on, and with the pictures and there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So thank you, Alan, for that, and for everybody out there who's in a leadership position. You know who you are, staying up till midnight, getting stuff done for Run for the Wall. We thank you for that. It's a thankless job, but thank you. We know. Those of us who know. So, and those of us who don't know, now you know. You know? All right. I'm getting punchy.
Oh, man. All right. So, how do you prepare yourself for Run for the Wall physically and emotionally?
Well, physically, I do a lot of writing. So this time of year, I am down in Arizona, and we're fortunate in the fact that we have pretty good riding weather down here, and there's lots of canyons in the area as well. And as we now turn the corner on the new year, will find myself basically touring through many of the canyon roads out back through Prescott, up through Prescott. I go through Baghdad, go up through Payson, Roosevelt Lake that we have here. There's just so much writing that could be done here. And so I do a lot of it on my own. I spend a lot of time on my own writing, mostly to practice techniques that I have learned either in training or through online that I watch a lot of videos about on people that have provide training. And then I go out there and practice them. I practice in the parking lot. I practice out on the road, and I do it by myself, so I don't feel like the pressure of having to keep up. And but I also do group rides.
Just sorry about that, Alan.
Wait, how far away from one another do you two live?
About an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's between where I live and Ted lives. There are some terrific roads
Oh,
that
yeah.
are between us that are just awesome, and they're great roads to practice on. And so I always start out moderate pace, but usually by the time February, March rolls around, I'm cooking through those canyons at a pretty good clip. So the main thing is, to keep practicing your vision and your braking, and you understand the different techniques of trail braking and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, so you can manage the run and the riding. Because it's, as people have said, and many will hear this, it is not your daily hog ride.
That's true.
Run for the Wall is an experience in motorcycle riding that will put everybody's experience to the test.
It's life-changing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I am, I being in the merchandise team, I am in Run for the Wall every day.
Mhm.
And I deal with messages and working with veterans just about every day through the things that I do in merchandise. And I also will spend time, there's a lot of monuments around the Arizona area that I will ride out to and just kind of spend some time there by myself, just thinking about, what it is that these people have done, what veterans have done, what the country, what the opportunities are for this country to do better, and just to kind of do that and get ready for the run that way. And the main thing is just make sure that you're healthy, that you're of sound mind and soul when you go into the run, and you're there for people that my goal is to be there for people that need help, and
Mhm.
be a shoulder that somebody can come to and then be on if they need to.
That's awesome.
So I'll take the next one here.
Go for it.
Alan, what's your favorite run for the wall stop or experience?
I think for central routes, that's all I've done. I would say Rennell is probably my favorite.
Did you say
Rennell,
Rennell?
yeah,
Oh, Rennell. Okay, the school.
yeah,
Got it.
the school in West Virginia.
Yep.
So I know this has been mentioned before, but it truly is an amazing stop where the school kids come out and line the streets as we come in out of the hills into this mining town, which is a very poor mining town. And Run for the Wall since 1989 has contributed to the Raynell and the school there. And just to think about the aspect that we're talking about generational changes that have happened, and that there's kids of mothers and mothers that have they were kids once when Run for the Wall came through, and just to be a part of that experience and to have the kids come up to you and just want your autograph, even if you're not a vet, the fact that you support the veterans, they want to know who you are and your autograph, and just the reception that you receive, the warm reception from Raynell and everybody there. It's so hard though to pick one single stop. I mean, Rex Robley is another stop. It's a hospital.
Robley Rex, yeah.
Robley Rex, yeah. That's a very, very moving stop as well. There are some terrific monuments that we see in Kentucky, Frankfort, Kentucky, on the sundial there.
Oh, that's
what
amazing.
that is.
Yeah.
That's just an incredible monument to veterans, and of course the first Vietnam veteran in Wentzville, Missouri. That is an incredible stop as well. So there's so many, but I will say Raynell probably tops the list.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's best experience or stop. What about the best meal?
Wow, there's so many good meals. I would say probably the fish fry and corian is the best one
That's a good one.
that we have.
That is a
Yeah,
good one.
it's superb. I don't know how they do it, and actually, as a photographer, I went into the back area where they're prepping all the food, and they have the batter there, and they're making the fish and putting the batter on the fish and everything. Because I was curious on how they did it, so I wanted to make sure I went back there and captured that. But it's so good, and but we have a fried chicken stop. I think that's in Mount Sterling.
Yep, Illinois.
Yeah, and that's really good too. There's just lots of good places, but I'd say the fish fry and corian is probably the best.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. Okay, now I get to ask you your road name and how did you get it?
I've always been so curious.
Well, the first hint is that I worked at Microsoft.
Okay.
And I was part of the Xbox team back when I first did my FNG year, working with the Xbox team at Microsoft. And at the time, we were on the run for what they call a ride to the run, RTTR. And Stan Ironfish Hadley was leading our group down from Seattle down to Rancho Cucamonga at the time. We met him in a town called outside of Richfield. Richland, Washington. And one of the things that I was kind of told ahead of time by Speedo was, be careful of what you say or do, because it may be with you for the rest of your life. And so I was so careful, not to screw up, no matter what I did, what I said, my posture or what I ate or how I ate or anything like that. Was I just super careful so
No
that
pressure.
I don't get to exactly. And so at the end of the ride down to Rancho Cucamonga, nobody could come up with a road name for me. And so we went through the run all the way through and got into DC. Nobody could come up with a road name for me. And so at the end of that DC run, Stan came up with Xbox, and put together the patch and sent it to me in email, and that's what been our road name.
Awesome. That's
so
great.
I managed to avoid, some road names out there that I know some people have that could be controversial. So
Yeah, there's a few embarrassing ones out there.
Yeah, I really want to hear about Speedo.
You'll have to talk to Speedo about that.
All right. What do you ride?
I ride a BMW K1600 bagger. So it's a black bike, super bike. I came off Harleys.
I was going to ask, what
in
happened to Harley?
Yeah, I came off Harleys in 2020 because my wife, who also was riding at the time, she just was having trouble managing the Harley bikes, and got a little bit of arthritis in her hands and the clutch and all that. And she's told me at the time and says, I can't ride this bike anymore. I need to find something else. And so we started looking at different bikes, Hondas, and fell in love with the BMW. She picked up a BMW RT1250. And she told me, she said, you don't have to buy a BMW. And I said, you know what? Back in the day, early on, when I was looking at riding again, I looked at at BMWs and I said, geez, this is really a nice bike. But I decided to go with Harley because of the social organization behind Harley and all of the people that are involved with HOG and all that. And it was a great opportunity to meet more people. And so I said, I'll go with Harley at the time. But anyway, so at the end of the day, I said, you know what? To my wife, I said, if you're going to go to BMW, I'm going with BMW. Gave me an excuse to get back in the BMWs again. So I picked up the K16 and have been riding it since and just love the bike. It's an awesome machine.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Yep.
All right. I guess the next question is mine, right?
Either way.
I'll take it. What advice do you have for FNGs?
Wow, that's FNGs. I think back on my FNG year, and just there's a lot to take in. It's a very, for people that are emotional. It's a very emotional experience. I would say that the big thing is at least for me at the time was people come up to you, strangers that have no idea who you are, and they'll say, "Welcome home, Ted," as you were saying earlier in the podcast. And they have no idea who you are, who your background is, but you're immediately in contact and you become friends with people that you had no idea who these people are or where they're from or what their backgrounds are. And I would say to FNGs, just take it in, let it be, or introduce yourself to people. Everybody is very friendly and receptive, and they want to get to know who you are and who you're riding with and what you're riding and all of that. And it's a great opportunity just to get to know people. I would say also from a riding perspective for FNGs, as I mentioned earlier, it's run for the wall. The way we ride is a bit different than you would ride in your normal HOG function. And we have a couple of ways that we ride in the organization. We ride side by side or staggered. So think about that when you're wanting to ride. How you would feel riding a side by side configuration or staggered configuration, and stay alert. Make sure that you're always alert, looking ahead. Listen to your platoon leaders, listen to your road guards. And just stay alert and pay attention to what's going on around you. And the other thing that I was told, is there's a lot to see. You're going to cross the country and you'll be in places that you've never seen before. But riding in the pack is not the time to be sightseeing. Stay focused and pay attention to what you're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, would your advice for all riders differ at all from that advice that you just shared for FNGs?
Not a whole lot. I think the biggest thing that I continue to see, as a photographer and as a road guard, is the yo-yoing that goes on and the panic braking that takes place. And I think a lot of the panic braking is a result of people not looking far enough ahead and seeing what's happening ahead of them. And I found when I was as a tail gunner, um, if you look far enough ahead, even just one platoon ahead of you, you can start seeing brake lights come on in that platoon, or you could start seeing the gap close between the platoon in
Or the
front of you and
hand
your platoon,
signals, you know,
or
because
the
we use
hand signals.
hand signals. Yeah.
That's right. And the thing is, you can kind of figure out what's coming your way, right? So be ready for it. And so my advice to all riders is always pay attention, look ahead. Don't look at the ground in front of you. Don't get locked into your music so much that you're not paying attention to what's around you.
Hmm.
Look
Yeah,
ahead
you shouldn't
because
be listening to music while you're riding on
that's
Run for the
right.
Wall.
That's right.
Just saying.
And just look for those brake lights and anticipate what's coming your way. And there you'll find the ride be much more experienced and much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So I think we already alluded to it a bit, but tell us
Hmm.
about your plans for 2025.
My plans for 2025. Well, as we've already kind of mentioned, I'm coming off photography and we'll be doing the road guard for both Central Route as well as Sandbox. Also, for merchandise, it's the same thing, which is making sure that we get all the trailers stocked. The trailers are now in Riverside, California, so they are all serviced and ready to go. We start moving inventory to Ontario area in April, and it's all the shirts and products get moved, and then they get loaded into the trailers. And so I usually get to the run about a week before and start helping with the process of getting the trailers unloaded, the point of sale system set up, and getting things ready to go. But that's kind of what's happening in 25. Looking
Now,
forward to
Alan,
it.
for merchandise team members, are you guys all set, or are you still looking for a few merchandise team members?
Yeah, so I think Central Route, we're in pretty good shape. We have a good team there. I'm still looking for some help on Midway and Southern routes.
Okay.
So if anybody is interested, again, in helping out Run for the Wall, I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody about what's involved with merchandise.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if you are interested in being part of the merchandise team, you could fill out a volunteer form on the website or shoot us an email just to make it simple. Just email us at pod, that's pod, at rftw.us, and we will connect you with the right people. Because we, as always, it's a volunteer organization.
Hmm.
And if you want to be part of it, let us know. We'd love to have you on the team. What else was I going to ask you, Alan? I was going to mention for a lot of people who maybe know who Alan is, or you don't, or listen, Alan has an incredible collection of David Mann art that I'm super envious of because I'm just a super big fan of David Mann. Tell us about that collection. How long have you had it? Where'd you get it?
David Yule?
No, the David Mann stuff. Isn't that the biker artwork on your walls?
No, that's David Yule.
Oh, David Yule. Sorry, my bad.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I started collecting his stuff. This kind of goes back a little ways, but basically, he was at I went to the 115th Harley Davidson rally in Milwaukee, and he was there, and I really got attached to his steampunk stuff and his steampunk collection that he did. Just terrific work. The contrasting colors, just the artistic viewpoint that he put on different themes in his paintings. And so I started collecting his art then. And then last year he was out in Scottsdale at an art show out here in Scottsdale, and I went to that and I spent some time talking to him. Terrific guy. He's really a great guy to talk to. And I mentioned to him about the Run for the Wall, and he brought up the piece that a watercolor piece that he had done with Tim Chambers. It's called Acknowledged, and he did that in 2018. But basically, it's Tim Chambers saluting the riders in Rolling to Remember as they were riding by. And so he got me an autograph version of that with Tim Chambers' autograph on it as well. And I have that hanging in my office here. And I just truly enjoy his artwork and his support for everything he does for veterans too.
Yeah, he's a great artist. Sorry about mistaking that David Mann for David Yule. They're both biker artists, but slightly different. So
yes,
anyways,
no problem.
Yeah, awesome. All right, moving forward. Let me go back to my notes here. And hey, it's time for Tech Tips with Ted.
It is. So what do you have for us today?
Okay, so Tech Tips with Ted. Today, and I mean this as a sort of not to alarm people, but just to pass along information, because I didn't know this when I first, I've been riding motorcycles my whole life, right? But mostly I've been involved in racing and sport bikes and stuff like that. I love my Harleys. But when I went back to riding the big Harleys on the street and got involved in Run for the Wall, I got my first biker vest. And I thought, oh, how cool. This is going to be really fun. And I was thinking about all the patches and pins and things I could put on my vest. And I learned a few things, some by making mistakes and some by people telling me. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the do's and don'ts of a biker vest. And this is really important information because there is some stuff on here that's kind of scary. So this is my Run for the Wall vest. And the first thing I wanted to mention, so if you're watching, you can see it. If not, you can't. I wanted to talk about the American flag and the placement. It should go on the left side, and it should be such that the flag is waving in the proper direction, okay? Also, there should be nothing above the flag. And if you probably can't see it, but if you look closely at my vest, I used to have something above the flag here, and I was told by someone, a friend, that is a no-no. I didn't know that. So nothing should be above the flag. All right. That's kind of a do and a don't there in one. But I also wanted to talk about, you go to a motorcycle rally or an event, and there are all kinds of patches out. If you're going to go to Sturgis or just a local, Thunder Valley show or whatever, you can buy just about any patch you want. And there are some patches that you should never have on your vest if you haven't earned that. And I'm talking about some of the like outlaw biker gangs now. And if you've never heard of it, there's a patch that you may see. It's a black diamond with a 1% in it. If you see this patch for sale, you might think it's funny or cute or cool that, you're a 1% biker, which means you're the baddest of the bad. That patch has to be earned. And that patch has a lot of meaning associated with it. Do not ever wear that patch lightly. If you haven't earned it. And by that, I mean, for those of us who are just regular old motorcyclists and we're not in these biker gangs, they defend their colors and they defend their badges of honor vigorously. So don't make that mistake. Do not put that on. That's one of many patches. You can look them up on the internet. I'm not going to go through all of the patches that you shouldn't wear. It's obvious that you should never wear an insignia of an organization that you are not officially a part of. Not going to mention all the organizations, but you trust me on this. They will defend their colors vigorously. And that could mean great bodily harm to you, or worse, if you are posing as a member of an organization that you are not officially a member of. I'm using politically correct language here, but I'm going to stop that in a minute and just give you the skinny here. Another thing, I'm talking about Hell's Angels, obviously, and Banditos and many other gangs, but as I'm thinking about it, there's another patch. If you see a patch with an 8 and a 1 on it, that has meaning. There's a patch with a 1 and a 3 on it. That has meaning. There's a patch, not only the 1%, 2%, 3%, and 4% all have meanings. But also, and now I'm going to my hog chapter vest, which is different because it's, I want to wear my hog chapter colors when I'm riding with my hog chapter. You'll notice at the top, it says, and this is oftenly called a rocker. It's actually, the right name for this is a chevron. And it's at the top above the hog insignia, but it says the chapter name and the location. And you'll notice there's no location below that in what is commonly called a rocker. Like if it said Mayor, Arizona down here below the hog patch, that would be incredibly bad. Don't ever do that because that is marking your territory. Hog chapters are allowed to put their location up here by agreement with the Council of Clubs. We are not allowed, specifically forbidden, from putting our location down here below it. If you have a hog chapter vest and you have your location down here, I urge you to take it off. Again, you could get the snot beat out of you, or worse, if you violate these rules. And, in the beginning, I didn't know this, and I found out a lot of this just by experience, and I wanted to pass along that information. All this information, if you just Google it or look, search it on the internet, you can find out the information. A couple other things with regards to your vests. It could be that you show up at a bar or a rally or a motorcycle event and you're approached by a biker who's associated with one of the biker clubs. If they ask you to remove your vest, I encourage you to do it immediately. Take it off, turn it inside out and put it back on. Take it off and put it in your saddlebag, your tour pack. Just take it off. And then if you think that it's safe, ask what was the offense so that you can correct it. If you're carrying something in your vest that needs to be secured, I'm talking about Second Amendment items, and he asks you to hand the vest over, that can happen, but you just need to be real careful of that. So make sure your vests are in compliance with kind of the unwritten rules of the biker code. The last thing I'm going to say about that, about vests, pertains to Run for the Wall. And, sometimes we have patches that have funny sayings on them, and there may be profanity on those sayings, or if you have a road name that includes profanity. On Run for the Wall, we go into VA hospitals, we go into children's schools often, we're in the public eye. It's kind of funny to say, some of these things, and I've seen patches that are hilarious that have profanity on them. When we're on Run for the Wall, it's probably a good idea to take a little piece of blue painter's tape and tape over the profane word. We do, on the central route at least, we spread that message, especially before we go into Raynell. It's just out of common courtesy and decency and showing, Run for the Wall in the best light, especially when we show up at elementary schools. We just don't want to have that on our biker vests, also known as a cut for those of you out there. I was going to say that earlier, but that is Ted's tech tip for today.
Thank you, Ted. Alan, did you have anything to add to that? Oh, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
No, I'm good. I as far as vests go, yes, Ted is pretty much hit it correctly. That you want to make sure that you wear vests and you wear them correctly because they do have significant meaning to certain organizations,
Right.
and just be cautious of it. So if you're not sure, don't do it.
Yeah, and I can understand how easily someone could say, like, oh, 13, that's my favorite number. Surely I'll get that. You know what I mean? So just being mindful and educating ourselves on what those things mean, especially like if within a certain shape or something like that. But yeah, thanks for today's tech tips with Ted. Was there anything else in addition to the tech tip, or that was the full tech tip?
That is it.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep it simple here. But, before we go to listener letters, I did have one thing that I meant to touch on in news and events. And that's just the passing of one of longstanding Run for the Wall rider and supporter who's just been a great great treasure for Run for the Wall. Papa Mike Cash, recently passed away. And gosh, it's hard to say goodbye to someone like that whose heart was really in our mission. He had an incredible mission mindset. He was involved in other organizations as well as Run for the Wall for veterans causes, and just an all-around great guy and asset to Run for the Wall. I know a lot of people are still grieving deeply. I had some information on his memorial service. Unfortunately, I'm not able to. Oh, here it is. It's on Saturday, February 1st in Ridgecrest, California. So if you wanted to make that to pay your last respects and visit with family for Mike, I see this information is on Facebook. I'll try to get something up on the forum for those who want to go. If it's not already there, I haven't checked yet today. But again, our heart goes out to his family and his friends. And Mike, Godspeed. We'll miss you, bro.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our listener letter for today. Now, this is a long one. We received an email with someone who wanted to share their Run for the Wall story with us. So I am going to read that. All right, so while attending an American Legion writers meeting in Prescott, Arizona, I heard about the 2013 Run for the Wall passing through Arizona the next week. Being a Vietnam veteran who served summer of 1970 through summer of 1971, I was sure I wanted to know more about the run. As I was 3 weeks from finally retiring, I knew I couldn't get the time off needed to make that year's run. However, I was able to witness the bikes traveling on I-40 at County Line Road. To say I was blown away is an understatement at best. I returned home after that afternoon, knowing I would most certainly make the 2014 Run for the Wall. My brother in law had served 2 tours in Vietnam in the mid to late 1960s, so I contacted him, asked if he would be interested. Terry Ray said he'd like to do the run, so we started making plans for 2014. We met in Ash Fork in mid-May of 2014 on the afternoon of day 1, then rode to Williams to get checked into our hotel. We had both decided we would ride to DC, then go to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall together and ride home together after the run was over. When the bikes rolled into Williams that afternoon, we met them at the American Legion posts. The meal they put on was unbelievable. We soon found that this would be repeated every day on the run. the next the next morning, we had our platoon assignment, parked our bikes, and introduced ourselves to the rest of our platoon. I had never had so many hugs and welcome homes. See, I told y'all it
There
was
you
like
go.
a tie-in. I told you. After attending the morning briefings and announcements, we mounted up and got ready to ride. As a Vietnam vet, I understood that this could and most likely would be an emotional time. I found out just how emotional it was when we pulled into Holbrook, Arizona. The grade school kids out along the roadway singing God Bless America and other patriotic songs caused my allergies to begin to flow.
Yeah, allergies, right?
The lunch was great, and the Indian kids in their traditional dress was beautiful. Everyone was taking pictures and commenting about what we had just seen. That afternoon, we ended up in Gallup, New Mexico. I was again blown away at the ceremony they had there. A powwow was going on, and the riders were asked to join in. The Gallup people consider themselves the most patriotic city in the U.S., and I would have to agree with them. After,
Agreed.
after the powwow was
Definitely.
over and the awards were given, we were directed inside for supper. They served us, in all caps, steak tacos. The following morning, after biscuits and gravy, we headed out for Angel Fire, New Mexico. I had never been there and was awestruck by the beauty of the area and the memorial Dr. Westfall had done for his Marine son who was killed in Vietnam. That night, the town of Eagle Nest fed us another great meal in their community center. The next morning, they fed us a great breakfast. When they fed us a great breakfast. We then had awards, etc., to take care of before the writers' meeting in the parking lot of the community center. Each morning, the RCs or route coordinators, and they asked for FNGs, the new people, to carry service members' bios to the wall in DC. I raised my hand for a Special Forces first lieutenant who was MIA in Vietnam. When I finally had the chance to read the bio, I learned that Lieutenant Dan Intrican was missing after a NVA ambush on 18 May 1971. This was 30 days to the day before I left Vietnam. His situation has stayed on my mind ever since. As a parent, I could not then or now wrap my head around a parent not knowing what became of their son. All they know is their son went to war and never returned. When we got to Arlington, I asked the desk clerk to please make a copy of Danny's bio so I could have it to take home with me. The rest of the run was remarkable and amazing. There are far too many memorable things that happened while on the run to go into it here. The stop in Raynell, West Virginia is one that continues to be special to me. The grade school kids treated us like rock stars. After a great lunch, we discovered we had received far too many t-shirts and other goodies to carry home. So we went looking for a post office. While in the post office, the clerk noticed our vests. She told us that she was a student at Raynell grade school when Gunny and his group went through there. So we sort of touched on that earlier. Like you go
Yep.
back and you run into these people who were there. I decided to continue riding on Run for the Wall as long as I was able to ride. On the way home, we stopped at my daughter's home in Northwest Arkansas. She was born while I was in Vietnam and was very interested in what we had just done. She could not believe that Terry and I had just ridden across the country on our motorcycles. I showed her Danny's bio and explained what it meant to me. In 2017, she wanted to make the run with me, but blew her knee out, so she had to wait until 2018. She and I were in the trailer platoon in 2018. She flew into Arizona and we rode over to Ontario for the run. This is a memory that we will cherish for the rest of our days on Earth. After returning home, I began searching for more info on Lieutenant Dan. From 2014 to 2019, I could not find much about him. Then in 2020, after we lost our 47-year-old son to COVID, I just sort of lost interest. After riding one day Williams to Gallup of the 2022 run, I resumed looking for info on Danny. As a shot in the dark, I put his name on Google and saw a new post that I had never seen before. It was written by his third cousin from his hometown in Mississippi, who was a senior writer for World News. Her email was included in the article, so I reached out to her. I explained who I was and why I had reached out to her. To my surprise, she answered back right away, and from there, we developed a relationship. That December of 2022, my wife and I met the remaining members of the Intrican family in Danny's hometown in Mississippi. Danny's 92-year-old uncle knew him as a mischievous young child and told us a little bit about how he was as a kid. A young man who was also there, I don't recall his relationship, had flown to Vietnam and visited the site where Danny had last been seen. Danny's third cousin, Kim, the lady I initially contacted, knew that I had spent 24 years in Army aviation, and she contacted me about the funeral for a 19-year-old Vietnam CH-47 crew chief whose remains had recently been repatriated. By this time, I had purchased a brick for Lieutenant Itrikin to be laid in Angel Fire that September. I drove to California in February of 2023 for his funeral service and was able to present the certificate of Danny's brick to Kim. It can certainly be said that Run for the Wall has definitely changed my life. Rick Bearcat Gunder.
Wow. Thank you, Bearcat, for that. That's an incredible story. We really appreciate you taking the time to write it and send it over. And that is why we ride right there.
Absolutely. All right. So I think that is it for this episode. Do you all have anything else to share that you could think
Alan?
of before we close it out?
Is it me yet? Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So for
Let,
more information on Run for the Wall, visit the official Run for the Wall website at rftw.us.
and send your experiences on the run, topics you'd like to hear, any questions you have. If you have a story like we just read from Bearcat, send it to us at pod, that's POD, at rftw.us.
Until next time. How far are we going? All the
All the
way.
way.